Happy Sunday evening, Sonder family. I'm so glad to see you join the Go team. Bailey Grady, my co pilot tonight, and I'm Jennifer Ogilvy. I'm coming to you from the Dallas, Texas area. Bailey's in Tennessee. And just a couple weeks ago, we realized we could be Go time with our last initials, G and O. So here we are. I love working with Bailey. We were just running through our slides, and we're very excited to welcome a brand new month with our favorite people. So, welcome, welcome. Make sure your chat is set to everyone because that's how we will share as we navigate our time, our weekly setup. Many of you, I see you, are familiar. Sonder fam names are scrolling there in the chat. We can see that you've joined us. But some of you may be out there joining us for the very first time. And if you are, put a me in the chat so that we can all welcome one another, but especially let our new community members know that they found their people, right? So welcome, welcome. Let's see. We've got our June to-do list over there. Hey, Patty, glad to welcome you. And yes, Michelle is calling out my internet. I actually did the setup this morning and with Maya by my side, and my internet was being ridiculous. So Maya ended up taking over my slides and my music, and we kind of limped along through our monthly setup. But we have hard set, reset the router. I've done a hard shutdown. I even walked the house to make sure the garden guys, the mowers didn't, weed eat, whack my internet connection. I think we're okay. So the song that you heard while we were hopping in this morning or this afternoon is "What Is My Why" by Fearless Motivation. And I'll share my playlist at the end, but I'll be sharing this song probably at all my setups because I love the vibe. So we've got our to-do list over there. If you want to take a screenshot of that, kind of embrace June with some fun ways of taking care of yourself. I want to briefly remind you of the upcoming live events, the 45-minute-ish webinars that will happen this week. We have a couple at noon. Well, I have it's noon my time. I'll be working no, noon Pacific Standard Time. So it's 2 o'clock my time. I'll be doing the day events, assisting in the chat. Maya will be working the evening events, and we get to hear from our fabulous founder, our creator, the Silk and Sonder creator, the wonderful Meha. And I love when she does live events because she brings her energy and passion for this beautiful journal and our journeys to the webinar she presents. Now, these, you see, the titles we can all benefit from. So grab that QR code. Bailey's also putting a link in the chat if you want to follow it there. It's also on the Eventbrite Silk and Sonder page. And she will be sharing some considerations like why are you still burned out, and thinking about who you are by ways of, your personality types, your saboteurs, your attachment styles. But she will also be bringing in that component of the personal coaching. Right. So, but you don't have to be there for the personal coaching. She's going to show you how it can really expand on that. But anytime she starts talking about Silk and Sonder and our journeys, you just don't want to miss that. All righty. So there's that. Oh, and while I'm talking about events, our co-facilitator, Jennifer Krippner, who lives in Minnesota, is getting ready to host an in-person event for all of you who are in that upper Midwest area in Minnesota. And so Bailey will drop a link to that so that you can, go hop on to RSVP for that. You should also, if you are in that geographic area, you should receive an email because they'll be pulling your information, the headquarters, to kind of target you to make sure that you're aware of that. So You might want to, go do that. Jennifer will be fabulous. We all haven't met one another in person, so I've gotten to meet Maya. I've gotten to meet Jennifer. Kay Bailey's on my bucket list. um, we all want to do a facilitators retreat in Scotland and go go hang out with Katie. But I want you to go meet her, and that will be so much fun, as well as your Sonder family, your community. Oh my goodness. So, speaking of community, we set up these guidelines anytime we're together, whether it's in the Sonder Club, it's our virtual events. So, you take a quick look over that. And yes, I've got some Scottish roots, and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. So you're right. Maybe that's why I need to get over there. Um, we want to make sure that we do create these healthy environments when we are together. So we ask you to please abide by those community guidelines. Bailey's hanging out in that chat. So if you do have questions along the way, if she's not able to answer them, she will point you in the right direction. And here we are. Welcome, June. Welcome, purpose. I don't know about y'all, but I feel like these past few themes have just been so beautifully stitched together. Like I'm so ready for purpose after the last couple of themes that we've worked through and gotten to know ourselves a little bit better. You are what you believe yourself to be. So very excited about purpose. We're going to start our week with our mind map. Now, if you are here for the first time, you're going to love the mind map. It is a bonus prompt that is only done here at our weekly setups. And so you're not going to find it in your journal. We ask you to use a notes page for this or a space in your journal. It's not printed, and it's something different every week to do that little bit more work, little deeper dig into the theme of the month. We're going to do our rosebud thorn reflection. And then, oh my gosh, y'all, I'm very excited about our weekly page setup because, I was decluttering for the month of simplicity, and I did a little phone decluttering, and I found some great examples from even 2 and 3 years ago that have been living in my photo album, and you're going to see them tonight. So I'm very excited about the examples that I'll be sharing from y'all. So our purpose mind map. I'm going to invite you to find a blank page in your journal. You could go to the definition page and squeeze this in. We're going to have 4 weeks. Maybe use your quote page, perhaps your weekly scratch pad from week to week to week, sticky notes. I'm doing something a little bit different. I squeezed in from our monthly setup where we look into doing an acrostic poem of purpose. I squeezed my acrostic in the middle of my mind map, and I'm really going to try to embrace the words I used for my acrostic poem or my acrostic work with that word purpose. So they're going to hopefully inform how I do these deeper digs. Just trying something a little bit different. So if that speaks to you, join me, and we'll kind of see how that goes. So week number 1, y'all, this one is so fun. It's listing 5 things. It can be more, it can be fewer, but that you would put on a bucket list. And then we want you to take a moment to reflect on why they would go. What is your why? What is your purpose? Why are they important for you to experience? I was really excited to find a study. This was from an abstract. I did not read the whole study. I don't have a subscription, but this is from the Stanford Medicine bucket list research project, and it can be found in the Journal of Palliative Medicine. So if you want to go do a little bit deeper crawl, you can do it. But this is basically this in a nutshell. They did a little over 3,000 participants, and they found that these are the themes that people's bucket list items fell under: travel, accomplishing a personal goal, achieving specific life milestone, quality time, spending that quality time with the people important in your life, the ability to achieve financial stability, and the desire to do something daring or scary. So this was like the common theme with all 3,000 of these folks. And here's what is so cool. Our lab has found that knowledge of the patient's bucket list okay, can serve as a roadmap to guide the healthcare team in providing personalized care and help them make treatment decisions that enhance their life goals. And my takeaway from that is that we should always, always, always have a bucket list going in our life. And the fact that they used this in people's course of treatments to me is so powerful. And that really tells why it's important to have that. So I have some ideas for you. First off, we're going to stop shoulding ourselves. And we're not going to say, I shouldn't want to do this or I should do this instead of this. I want you to think about your bucket list and those items that drive your purpose, right? Don't feel guilty about putting things on here. Use those I statements that you want to do something. Focus on accepting and exploring. Don't reinforce what you think maybe isn't the grown-up thing to do, the responsible thing to do. I should have. We're not going to do that. We are dreaming big. And I gave you a bunch of different categories. If you're sitting there going, I wouldn't even know where to start. Maybe you have a bucket list. Maybe you have a vision board that could inform your bucket list. So I'll put this back on when you're doing it. I wanted to share here's, and you could do a quick one like for summer, right? Like, here's what I want to do this summer. Or you could do sort of like long term in the big scheme of things. I sort of went into the future. I'm in the last third of my life. And so I realize those days are fleeting. So here are mine. And my whys behind it. I want to travel to the motherlands like Norway and Scotland. I want to see where my people came from and embrace that culture, learn and appreciate. My why words are in red. I want to celebrate our 50th anniversary. And some of that's out of our control. We don't know, but that is a bucket list. I want to celebrate it good. I want to show that we made it. We have resilience in this marriage of up and down. I've shared before, my husband will tell you he's been happily married 27 years. We've been married almost 42, but he'll say, I've been happily married 27. And I always laugh because there are ebbs and flows. And y'all know if there's a little bit of truth to that. But that's a milestone for me, and I want to do that. I want to take a solo trip inspired by my friend Bailey. She went to Disney all by her lonesome, and I just got so inspired for that. Working on the theme of indulgence several years ago made me want to do that. And I think I'm going to really be able to embrace some peace and some pride in being brave in doing that. I want to do something scary, and I had a couple of ideas. I want to eat something super duper weird. But probably what I'm going to find myself doing is getting on a horse. I've never ridden a horse and I want to do that. That's like a bucket list item. And it's going to pull, from those words that are in my acrostic: strength and opportunity. And finally, I want to take a pottery class. I want to learn how to do pottery and make stuff. And maybe there's some potential for, everybody to get wonky pieces of pottery for Christmas, but it's something that I want to embrace for like this last chapter of my life. So the thing about purpose is we get to define it no matter what age or stage that we are in. And so you get to choose what goes here for you. So I'm going to put on some music while you do this, and I'll go back to those other slides so you can be inspired by that. And you guys are already sharing some awesome stuff in the chat. And then I'll be back and we'll get going with our setup. Thank you so much for joining us in this fun journey of creating your bucket list. And you may end up taking this even further than 5 items and having that list available. Put it on your phone, remind yourself of your why. What are those core values? Bailey shared in the chat when she did hers, and she did the setup yesterday, the weekly setup yesterday, and that will be available on YouTube if you wanted to go catch the front end of her setup and kind of see how she framed things out. And she realized when she wrote it down and then wrote out her whys, she could see that connection, those pillars of how they aligned together, how they were all like woven together for her life and her core values. So I loved stumbling across that Stanford study, thinking about healthcare providers using our their patients bucket list to inform their care plan. I just think there's so much power and so much strength in that. So thank you for getting going with this. And again, you might end up making an even better, longer, stronger, faster bucket list. And always, always, always give yourself permission to change things up. Because remember, we were talking about, our ages and stages of life help us define what purpose looks like, right? And what our whys are. So now I'm going to invite you to turn to page 30 as we do a quick look back over last week and do our rosebud thorn reflection. And so when we do that, we look at, the things that are going great, what's working well, the positive things, the highlights, the things you're most proud of. They can be very small things. It can be as small as I got out of bed every day when my alarm went off. That would have been a huge accomplishment for me. I was such a snooze button person when I was working. Your bud, those small opportunities or big opportunities, the things you're looking forward to in the future. What are you looking forward to? And then, of course, the thorns, because we know life is full of both things, the good and the bad. Sometimes the thorns are bigger than the roses and they feel like they're occupying the most amount of space. But I found this quote that I wanted to share. In hard times, people don't want to be told to look on the bright side. They want you to know that you're on their side. Even if you can't help them feel better, you can always help them feel seen. The best support way to support others is not to cheer them up, it's just to show up. And so you are here and we are showing up for one another. So we want you to feel authentic and comfortable and brave to share. If you want to do that, you've got your community. My rose this week was the my little grandson's last baseball game. It's the last one, and so now all the players know what to do. They played so well and had so much fun, and it was just very exciting. And then, y'all, I was watching a little video clip on roses and buds and thorns, and this guy introduced an idea to me that I thought was brilliant. He said, maybe you have in your life a thud, or it could be a born, and it's that combination of a challenge, and then you take that challenge and it informs a plan of action, which is a bud. And so you're able, it says, when you can see the opportunity within a challenge. And so this week I embrace this idea of a thud. And that is I've done something to my left hip or leg. It's really been bothering me, kind of not sleeping well because of it, doing a lot of ibuprofen. I probably just, reached in the pantry the wrong way. But this week, my bud is I'm looking forward to focusing on nutrition and rest because both have been lacking. And I think that might have contributed to me not feeling so great. So I'm turning that into my thud for the week. So perhaps a thud is something that will speak to you. I'm going to put on a little bit of music while you reflect over your past week and share in the chat. And again, we say, come as you are. If you've got some stuff that you just need us to hear you, we're here for that. Thank you for reflecting over your past week, for sharing the things that you were comfortable sharing. And, just that reminder that you do have a community in the Sonder family. And so, we're here. And we always say, come as you are. If you don't want to work in your journal, that's okay. Just like hang out, be in the chat, connect with people. That's what this is all about. And that's why we love our Sonder community. So we're going to start with our weekly planner now, our setup. And many of you are already working on those pages. You know what you're going to do, but I have a lot of examples to show you. And I have to laugh because y'all, I worked on decluttering this month. This past month with simplicity, that was one of my things that I'm working on. And it's going with me into the month of June. But one of the things I did was I started working on my photo album. And the majority of what we're going to be looking at this evening is from my photo album. So those beautiful snaps that I took of your work, and I've been able to pop some very new, fresh, like, oh yeah, I forgot I took that picture. So I cleaned out my phone, and I've got some new, very new content to share with you. Even though it could be 3 years old, it's new to us. So we're going to just kind of take a deep dig into some of those things. I want to show you, I've got 4 examples of this first page all set up, and just, that reminder that we do what we need. We've got instead of goals, right? Instead of goals for the one on the left, look, they're going to put their AM and their PM routines there to make sure that those specific items happen on the daily. And then look, they've dropped down and they've put that at their first line in that habit tracker. I love when we can connect our journal and really use all that information, really start threading it, weaving it together. So that's a great example of what that looks like. And then the one over there on the right, we've got our 3 major goals. And then you can see that they are tying those goals into some very pointed, meaningful, supportive to dos. How am I going to make those goals happen? Um, you can set a number of goals for something, to happen. You can just track. Here's 2 more examples um, that were buried in my phone. I love this. The weekly to-do list has been turned into a weekly joy list. And there's a little stencil work that looks so fun and so like clean and tidy. I know. I loved that, Kimberly. I saw that honeycomb, and it just looks really, really great. There is like one goal, and it's audits, and then it's broken down into what needed to be audited. Yeah, it's so clean, right, Kate? It's just crisp. And that person's not going to be tracking a number of things. Instead of setting goals for that, it's just happiness. There's a great sticker there. They're going to just track it. When it happens, it happens. Versus the one on the right, they've set a number of goals for those things to happen. Their to-do list is divided into what I need to do, what I want to do, what I wish to do, or what I hope to do. So, I feel like I'm, peeking into your lives when I can look at a whole journal page. So I thought those were kind of fun to look at, kind of get some inspiration from what they're going to be tracking and doing this week. So we're going to start off with how we want to feel this week. There's a place in Austin, Texas called El Arroyo, and it's a wonderful Mexican food place. And they have this one of those big signs, that are outside, and there's something funny on it every single day. They have an account on Instagram where they post it, and I loved this, as we're considering how we want to feel. Is it considered a day off if you're having an off day? So maybe that'll bring a little joy to how you want to feel. But in this space, we are kind of setting the tone for what we want this week to bring into our life. Oh, good. Nashville has one too, Rose Pepper. Well, I need to go see if they have an Instagram account and follow them. So I've got a little word cloud there for you to pull from if you are so inspired. But you can do, your one word, your several words, a phrase, a mantra, whatever kind of speaks to you and what you need for this week. So I'm already seeing, Alexandria says she wants to feel impactful this week. I'm going to rest. I want to be rested and nourished. That's how I want to feel this week. Corey said balanced. She's dealing with her grief journey. And so she has those moments that she just needs to feel that sense of balance. Ignited for Kat, thriving for Courtney. Elaine just wants to be happy. I love that. Hopeful, relaxed. Yes. Oh, in sync. I love that, Gloria. I like it, by the band name, not not the words. Capable. Oh, yes. Okay, an interview for a job. Go slay that interview. Productive. Love the CEO of my life. If it is working for you, keep using the same thing over and over again. You don't have to change this up every week. Keep dropping that in the chat because that will inspire others. And we're going to take these words now and go look at those goals and to-dos as well as our habit trackers. And always, always, always be reminded you just set up your start, stop, and continue box. And you also got dug into the intentions, those feelings for the month. So go take a look at those. Can they inform goals for the week? It's a great, great starting point. And again, a way to thread and weave your journal work into the other pages. Maybe May has some things left behind that you want to bring forward into June. So you're going to thumb through those pages. A personal goal, personal challenge for the week. No goals. I'm not going to XYZ. Think about it in terms of your purpose. What is your why? And maybe set your goals up with that lens. You can also repurpose this space. Maybe, I feel like I'm not into huge goals. I think I like the idea of the bucket list better. But so you could put quotes or podcasts or rhythms and routines or a song list, or you can change the space up. You don't have to do the goals. You don't have to do three goals either. One goal's fine. Four goals are fine. Here's some great examples from Sonder Club of taking their feeling word and driving their goals from that feeling word. You can use stickers for your goals. You can, the one on the left, they want to breathe, socialize, and create, and then just kind of wrote a little bit about that, what they're going to do so that that happens. Same thing with the one on the right. What are the steps they're going to take to make that happen? You can also take those steps and put them into your to-do list. The one on the left there, we're going to learn something, we're going to leap into something, and we're going to let go of something. You can just do a list of one, two, three. Let's keep going. Here are taking those goals and informing that to-do list directly with those goals. You can see the one on the bottom, it's kind of color coded. So passion projects. And then the to-do is order the collage supplies and create their creativity goal is daily drawings and include something from bingo. So they're going to work on their bingo board. Catch up on reading instead of watching something. So 30 minutes per day per genre. So there's probably a tracker somewhere tracking what they're going to read. Here are some more beautiful examples from you all. Again, there's the to-do list on the bottom left with the need, want, and wish. We've got a to-do list that is a bingo board. When we gamify things, we engage those good hormones, those endorphins, those serotonins. It gives us that really nice dump of good hormones in our body. Perhaps your evening routine or your morning routine, like the one you see on the bottom right, it goes in your to-do list. Lots of different ways to set this up. The one over there On the upper right, you see for their goals, it just says focus on organization, and then they put their top three there. So those are kind of their three ideas for the week. You can also repurpose, like your to do space or your goal space. And again, thinking about that to don't list, maybe you have a dread list of the things you've been putting off, and it's like, okay, this is the week it's going to happen, and it goes in one of these spaces. Perhaps you want to think about how you want to be. What is your purpose? What is your why? Lean into that kind of a list, or your to-do list. Now, we have a to-do list in the journal this month, and we're going to actually be having a social on Wednesday where we're going to be looking at that to-do list. Now I'm going to encourage you to drop down and let's take a look at that habit and activity tracker. Now that we've set the goals and the to-dos, how can that sort of help us set up our habit and activity tracker? Again, looking back at those things you wanted to start, stop, and continue, looking at the intentions you have for the month. And don't worry, I'll go back through all these slides while you're working on this page. A reminder that when you take really big leaps into a habit, it can be difficult. So break your habits down into small steps. My morning routine got really off and really wonky last month. So my big habit tracker wheel, that whole wheel was just about my morning routine to kind of reset. So I took everything down, broke them into little steps instead of putting, morning routine. I broke it down so that I had more success with that. The only thing I didn't do was make my bed consistently, but everything else went pretty good. There are some ideas for inspiration that you might want to drop on your tracker there on the left. Again, some more beautiful graphics to be inspiring for maybe some of these ideas for your habits or your activities, or maybe you'll take some of these and pop them over on the next page if you're kind of knowing how you want to set things up. I love the idea of choose a self-love habit. We need to be in love with ourselves before we can love others well. Here are a couple of great examples. I love the little stickers that align with how, what their activities are going to be for the month. And then notice the one in the bottom. They are in Disneyland on Friday. So they're not cleaning the kitchen and they're kind of giving themselves their day off from those habits and activities. Some more simple habits to consider adding. And I love all of these examples because they show how you can set and use this tracker differently. You can circle days that things actually you want them to happen on particular days. So the one like the upper left, the upper right, they want to read all 7 days. They've circled all 7 days, but they're going to meditate 3 times, and that's going to be on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and writing a letter twice. And those are just the activities they're tracking, just those three. You don't have to fill in all the lines. Setting goals is great, but you can also washi tape those goals and just use this as a straight tracker. And oh, Leanne, that's so fun. Okay, so the one for Disneyland, that was hers. I told you it was an oldie because I cleaned out my my photo roll. And you're going back to Disneyland. So you get to write that again again on your tracker. And then there's some inspiration for you, some more inspiration. So let me put on some music while you're filling out page one. Let us know, do you repurpose? Do you have three goals? What are they? How do you inform your to-do list? Do you put something fun there? Do you repurpose it? All of the good things. Drop that in the chat and let's work on page one. I'll go back through all these slides for you. right. So if you aren't feeling inspired, it's okay to give yourself a week off from some of these spaces. Maybe something doesn't hit right, right now at this moment. Maybe leave it blank and see, or just kind of explore, or just put a sticker there. Maybe there's a fun sticker that'll just remind you of something, right? Don't put too much pressure on yourself when you are working on this beautiful tool to help you embrace a really, really good week. So now for the last part of our setup, we're going to look at this next page, the B side of the record album, or the page two of our setup time. And I want to remind you, that any of these spaces can be repurposed anytime that you need to. You're always invited to use the spaces just as they are. We're given this framework, but maybe that's not speaking to you. Maybe you need to have some more accountability with embracing the intentions you set for the month, right? So maybe you create an intentions space in your meal planner that is going to help support those intentions that you wanted to have, right? So think about ways that you can let this journal work for you. Now, here's a couple of pages where you see the meal plan is not a meal plan. We've got a space for affirmations going down. I said, you can tell this is an old one because if you've been with Silk and Sonder a long time, it used to have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack written there, and they've washi taped over it. So it is an old example, but it's a great example because this person is using the that space for their daily affirmations when they're checking in with Sonder Club. They've created a chore list instead of where that shopping list goes. And then I love in their mind body health plan, they've put be bold, brave, and brilliant. And then look up Monday, demanding my voice be heard. Oh, talk about some power there. The one on the right, the meal plan is an appointment tracker. Keep that top of mind, front of face, making sure you get that. The Mind Body Health Plan is the micro habits that have great results. And so just writing those things down, that reminder, to make sure that they're embracing that. And then they're doing a little ta-da list over in the shopping space. Of course, here's that big old list that I've made of things that I've seen y'all do. I always say grab a screenshot of it if you want some inspiration there. But I always say, one of mine is a garden tracker. Right now, I do my shopping list as a garden tracker because it's garden season, and that's something that I do. Maybe you'll use this as a book tracker for your Atomic Habits reading, Janine. So it's really, what's going on? What's going on in your life? Or do you want to work on that bucket list? Can you put some of that here? So when we look at the meal plan, the small example you see, there's actually a repurposed mind, body, soul plan, and they've put their main meal there. I know this is a really old one because I can remember we all talked about we wanted the recipe for getting figgy with it chicken. And I can remember somebody else used this example, but they put like their main meal of the day there, and they're you so that they still have a meal plan, but they've repurposed so that it frees up their big meal plan space for something like a journal reflection. The one all the way over on the right, what did you eat? What did you drink? And so it's that tracker. And then here's a bunch of repurposing. I have used this journal one before with the little flip pages with the post-it notes where you have a journal prompt and the response goes underneath. Daily affirmations. Here it's kind of like a chore list, make it happen, the things that you want to do that week, a workout list. Go I love this one. The one in the middle. It's like, what am I going to do for me? Sort of that mind body health space. And we were laughing because that little kitty cat is exactly the same kitty cats that Bailey used this month to color on her journal or to decorate her journal. So I love that little serendipitous moment. Appointments or things that are happening in the week are over there on the left. Y'all, do you have a relationship you're working on? I am so inspired by this one on the left. It says my boyfriend, but this could be anybody. This could be your mother, your daughter, your husband, your spouse, your mate, your partner, your work buddy, and you can just answer these prompts about that person on a daily basis, especially I was telling Bailey, I've been taking care of Jim with his two new knees, and I'm just kind of tired of him. And I think I need to do a reflection like this to kind of reground myself. But such a great way to embrace the idea of relationship building and being intentional with that. The one in the middle, tracking all the colors that goes into their body, all the different colors that they're eating this week. And then confidence for my soul. And I think that was from our month of confidence, but also what a great way to do journal reflection. Here's a couple of examples of embracing the seven types of rest. And there they are. Yes, Gina, that's exactly it. My me time is digging in the dirt because I'm kind of tired of that. Those knees. Um, and then the Mind Body Health Plan. Here are again some ways to set this up. I always kind of call this my selfish space. So this is where I do put something, and it could be very grown up things like doctor's appointments or balancing the checkbook, but it makes me feel so good when I do it. But it could also be, shaving my legs and painting my nails. So this space is always reserved for my self-care personally. And I've got just a bunch of examples of how folks have used it so that you can get it. Now, look at the one on the right, y'all. Intentions check in. So, making sure that they are pointing themselves back to that intentions page. And when you're looking at it on the daily, you'll do it, right? So, weaving the journal together. So, I love that and how they wrote out, how am I doing? Okay, spiritual. I'm making progress. The money. It needs attention. So doing that weekly check-in, I thought that was brilliant. Some more ideas of setting the space up for fun. There's another relationship health plan. I didn't realize I had two of them in here. Maybe that's my subconscious telling me something. Then a cleaning list, like you see down at the bottom there. And then, of course, we love the shopping list because it's got that fun grid. So many of us create some kind of a grid, a bingo, a list. There is, an exercise list up there, maybe some things you can do just for yourself. Look at the one in the middle. Simple things. 5 deep breaths on Monday. Go get some hugs on Tuesday. Go light a candle on Wednesday. Cut some flowers for yourself. Just very simple things. Could also be a journal reflection like the one you see all the way over on the upper right hand side. And I have shared how have I nourished my mind, body, soul. Here are some great examples of bingos. Again, gamifying the things in our life to get that good dump of those happy hormones, those serotonins, and the good part of the dopamine hits. But look at the one on the upper right. Do you have like a tunes list for the week? Maybe you create a little playlist and mark them off as you dance to them or sing them out loud at the top of your lungs. And I have shared that social check-in. I think that's so important. Community. If you have feelings of lonesomeness, maybe this is a way you can be very intentional with checking in with people to make sure that you're making those connections. And then just a little shout out to the glimmers in our life and how we can take moments to slow things down and just notice those small things. Because look at all the good things that happen in that graphic when we stop and find the glimmers within our day. So once you start looking for them and embracing them, your life becomes so much sweeter. You get your nervous system calmed down. It kind of balances out things that could trigger. It gets us out of survival mode into flourishing mode. And then finally, while we're working on this space, drop what you're loving in the chat. And I'm going to challenge you, since we are thinking of our purpose, maybe thinking about reframing this as I am loving myself by. How are you being purposeful in your life? Let me put on some music while we close this baby down and share in the chat as you're working on the page. Y'all, there ain't no hour like a Sonder hour. They just fly by, don't they? I hope that you are able to find glimmers this week, really paying attention to your purpose and thinking about that bucket list. Maybe it will grow and grow and grow. I'm very excited about journeying with you as we consider our purpose, no matter what age or stage of life we are in. I would love to see your weekly setup in Sonder Club so I can snap a picture of it and then save it for 3 years and eventually pull it back up. Bailey's dropping all the links in the chat that you need to sign up for this. You can also go to the Eventbrite page for the Eventbrite page for Mayha's live webinar this week. Of course, we always want to remind you we've got this great app with our personalized coaching. And finally, there's our playlist tonight. I'm going to leave you with a really upbeat one, and I can't wait to see you. I'll be setting up tomorrow morning, but I will also be doing that social on Wednesday, tackling a couple of our journal prompts, including that to-do list. I'll see you then, Sonder family. Great week.
You defy the impossible. Got a heart unstoppable. You are more than ready. Yeah. Not just a fight, not just a dream. Amazing creator, relentless believer in who I am and what I got inside. Dream, see, write, live your story. So many roads for you to pave. Let them all